This is Press Center.
I remain your host at the Press Center, Godfrey Obaka. Also at the Press Center today, we are privileged to have a publisher and a mass media entrepreneur, Honorable Kenneth Gbandi. It's actually Kenneth Gbandi. You are welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be on your program.
Thank you so very much. Together, we shall be extraying issues that have to do with the Nigerian state, especially as it has to do with the credibility of elections and the issues with the electoral reform, especially as it has to do with what happened at the National Assembly yesterday, the uproar at the National Assembly, with Nigerian citizens who were also wanting to get in there in order to engage with their representatives. Uproar at the National Assembly over electoral reform and protests at the gate of the National Assembly by citizens. We saw Obieze Kwesili and the rest of us, Showore and the rest of us. And that takes me back 35 years ago, thereabout, at the University of Calabar, where you were part of those who protested against military rule, desirous of a democratic setting where each person's vote will count, where a citizen will determine who becomes his representative, who becomes his governor, and who becomes his president. Honorable Kenneth Gbandi, flashback 35 years now, and 35 years after, with this variant of democracy that you're seeing in Nigeria, would you consider that your protest at the University of Calabar was justified?
Well, I think what is happening in the National Assembly, or what happened yesterday or a few days ago, is a national disgrace. In fact, as one of the posters captured, it's nothing less than electoral banditry, where even the House cannot even respect its own rule, with multiple points of order being raised at the floor of the House. And the Speaker just ignored it as if nothing happened, and kept hitting his gavel as if nobody was in the House. In fact, this is very, very appalling. Now, Nigeria is one of the only countries I've seen where doing the right thing seems to be the most difficult thing to do. And that is basically heartbroken. I mean, 35 years ago at the University of Calabar, who would have thought that we are still at the very elementary, stages of democracy, where people are simply asking, let my vote count. I mean, that is not something that it's a rocket science. And that you see, this kind of revolt from within members of the House. You've seen people like Obi and Showore. I wouldn't say it's going to quench or dilute the fear of the future of democracy in Nigeria. But at least one can see that the only way one can hope that those sacrifices of 35 years or so will not go in vain is to keep speaking, keep engaging, because the evil in the society triumphs when the good people refuse to speak out. So I thank God for the life of those individuals, both at the National Assembly and on the street in front of the National Assembly, who are speaking out that indeed our vote and voices must count.
Yes, I followed with some of your public engagements as a publisher, a communication entrepreneur, and an opinion leader in the diaspora. And in one of those engagements, you had passionately expected that by now the people in diaspora would be voting in the election of their country and determining who becomes their leader, because they contribute to the economy of this country. So they should be able to have say. Oh, if now the basic things like how to transmit or transfer election results from polling unit to the INEC result viewing portal, and the issues of Form EC 8A are all engraved in the clause 60 subsection 3, and what somebody described as a hybrid or duality of you can transmit results through electronic device, but should that fail, you now have a caveat that you have to resort to the form EC8A. If we cannot address those basics and fundamentals, what is the foundation of your optimism that some of your people that you have had to be their voice in the diaspora will someday vote and determine who becomes their leader in Nigeria?
Well, that's the tragedy of it all. I personally stepped into the electoral arena in 2023, being motivated by the fact that there's going to be electoral reform, where potentially the diaspora can vote electronically. I must say that actually the transformation we're seeing now, with the INEC electronic voting, actually started from the advocates from the diaspora who were there to push for electronic voting. We have a lot of consultation with the INEC commissioners in closed doors meeting in Abuja. They assured us that the INEC is able and capable to conduct an electronic voting, but they need to amend the necessary part of the constitution to allow them to, allow us to vote, through electronics. Of course, the first process, as about only 50 National Assembly members voted for yes, while the majority of them voted no. And of course, the rest is history. And now we are moving at least a closer, like you said, of a hybrid, where at least, in fact, coming from 2023, where a lot of people got disenfranchised from that election. A lot of people are saying our vote never counts, so we don't even need to bother. And somehow, we managed to rebound from that, trauma. To say, okay, we can manage to fix those problems. We can see if, a model of this hybrid will count. 60 subsection 3 is simply saying that, for the first time, that election results can be transmitted, through online, and from I think it's EC08 or so.
EC8A.
8A.
Okay.
It's saying that yes, we can transmit electronically, so to say, but the biggest issue is adding that caveat that in case
fail,
that is an
that from EC8A becomes the basis.
That is an open door rigging. There's no two ways about it. Let's have a flashback. That a few days ago, that the Senate president told us that we have insecurity in 9 states of the federation, which is actually a big indictment on the leadership of this country, including his own leadership. And he's actually predicted that there's going to be a power failure, a failure in the national grid, so to say. And in that case, those election results in those states cannot be transmitted electronically. And then, coming up few days after, to now, add this caveat to say that in case it could not be transmitted, then the other form outright. It's obvious that it's a plan, it's a stage. Now, let me even say this, that anybody who is talking about, technical glitches or power failure is not being sincere, or at worst, is technologically ignorant. What we are talking about is not electronic voting, that you vote and your result gets instantly transmitted to the
same
center.
time.
That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's not what the law is saying.
Yeah.
It's saying that after you have voted, all the agents come together, agreed that the number, after you have open counted, so to say, everybody agreed that that is the right number. You fill in the form EC8A and sign it off. Then you simply scan it, just like using your telephone, to scan the result and upload it. This is not rocket science. And even let's even assume that we have a power or internet failure. When you snap your picture with your phone and you try to send it to me or to anybody,
And it's uploading.
and it's uploading.
And it's taking some time.
It stays there.
The process is on.
It's on. As soon as you have network, it uploads
It drops.
itself. And the timestamp where it was first sent
It's
is
recorded.
there.
Yeah.
So what is the problem? So it's obvious that some individuals, want to hijack this process. And now don't forget that the issue we had in the last election is because the number recorded at the polling station and the modulated, murdered EC form did not tally with what was on the ground. And that's the fear of most Nigerians. That with this caveat, you're opening the door. In fact, we're not even going one step backward. We are going 3 steps backward from what we had in 2023. And so it's worrisome. It's very, very worrisome. Nigeria is one of the only country, well, not one of the only countries, but one of the only major big countries in Africa that do not do diaspora voting. Over 20 countries are doing diaspora voting. African countries, not European countries. And we are here talking about simply snapping a result and uploading it. And we're saying we cannot do that. Abba. I mean, this is so it's really sad. I don't know other words to use. It's really sad. Okay. But I hope the resilience of Nigerians protesting this political banditry will not succeed.
Okay, political banditry indeed. Apart from the background as a publisher and an entrepreneur, I also do know that at some point you had indicated interest, and in fact you had run for the National Assembly in Delta State. If you were there yesterday, Honorable Gbandi, what could you have done differently?
That's a very big question. We have seen, like I said at the beginning, and we have seen from the clip, that we have a multiple point of order, which is actually the standard basic rules in parliamentary setting, where an issue is especially interjected to point out and whatever irregularity that we have on the floor. But the deputy speaker simply ignored that and kept hammering in, flipping clause 10, bam, clause 20, bam, clause 21. I mean,
that was either a theater of the absurd
absolutely,
or an open rape of democracy.
It's a circus. What we experience is a circus. So I think I mean, in the parliamentary setting, I gave kudos to the opposition leaders who gathered not only on the floor of the House, who said we object to this rape of democracy, but they also made a statement at the end of that. These are the parliamentary processes one can go.
Yeah, it's like they were also calling the ruling party Ole, which in one of the Nigerian languages means thief. I mean, it's like they are out to steal the people's mandate. That
is what they intended to do. And again, like I said, we will not stop at that by issuing public statement condemning that. We should really support all the different advocacy groups to make sure that this rape on democracy will not stand.
Okay. That's also why we are here at the press center, to continue to set agenda, continue to sensitize members of the public, because we have always believed that we have no other option outside democracy.
Absolutely.
And we just need to make our democracy work. And a democracy that defines the interest, the wish of the people out of its scope is no longer democracy.
Absolutely.
This is Press Center.